Good afternoon, YouTube. This is man always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Boundary Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, this is the first show which will be featuring women's bodybuilding for this month, and that is the Big Man Evolution Pro, or some of you might call it the Portugal Pro, and it's coming tomorrow. As you know, it's about a few hours ahead of us in the States. You know, to compare to Portugal. So the show's going to be, I think, in probably early that morning for us, and really their morning time is like, I think it's a 5-6 hour difference. So by the time the show started, most of us will be still sleeping. So anyway, this show's been around for quite some time. It's a very popular show, I would say, especially if there's so few opportunities for female bodybuilders in Europe to get Olympic qualifications. This year is technically only 2 shows for this year's Olympia. Well, actually 3 shows, but technically 2 shows, which is actually, qualification where you have to don't get invited. We have the Muscle Fest, which is going to be for next year's Olympia 2024, and you have the Master Show, which is invitational. So it does count as a little qualification, but you have to be invited. But the other 2 shows is this show here and also the Europa Championship. So anyway, I was waiting to see how many more people jump on this show. And I was kind of disappointed. I mean, last year we only had 4, and this year is only 3 competitors, and that's just. But the problem is that the cost of traveling, and a lot of competitors here in America it costs too much to go from one country to another. That's why it's a lot easier for them to compete here in the States, and also there's more shows. But for some people, this would be a great show to maybe to get in to the Olympia in. I mean, this would be a great back way into Olympia. I mean, the other shows are gonna be stacked because we have, I think we have a couple of shows coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks for women's bodybuilding, and like I said, so few opportunities for them this year. But I would say I would have jumped on this show if I had opportunity to. But that's just me being me. So anyway, we have these 3 lovely ladies representing women's bodybuilding. A couple of ladies have done the show before, and I think we also have a debut competitor. First off, we have Arsenio Barreto, and she's from Brazil. As you know, she's competed the show last year. I think she took second to Branka Djokovic, who won the show, and she did at least 4 shows last year. I remember she did this show in Brazil, which is coming up also this weekend, and also she won the qualification for Olympia at the Europa Championships, and she won the remaining Muscle Fest. Impressive woman, because definition good muscle. As you know, there's a growing number of Brazilian competitors, and she is a top contender. But there's another one who's probably top contender. We have here's Anastasia Leonova. And Anastasia, she won the show back in 2021. As you know, she's originally from Russia, but at the point after she won the show, she couldn't travel to the States. I think it was visa issues, travel issues, something like that. I don't know. There was talk about she was going to do another show, last year, but she didn't. So this is going to be an opportunity for her to get a Olympic qualification again at this show. She might get it. I think I saw that she moved from Russia because what's going on in their country, the issues with their leader. So I think it's a lot easier for her to maybe get to a place where she can probably be able to move and travel better. Here we have one lady who's making her debut. This is Lagina Hare Zaza. If I got a name wrong, I want to apologize. But Miss Zaza is from Lebanon, and there's not that many women from that part of the world. That's the Middle East, you might as well say, close to Africa. And other people like I could think of is Mona Persley, who's from Iran. And traditionally, they don't like the idea of women, being as they consider naked in their mindset, that part of the world. But, this is going to be her debut. I hope she does well this show. Maybe she might even come out being that she's not an unknown factor. She might be a dark horse. She might win it. So let's wish her best of luck. So anyway, this is the women I would say suggesting that should done this show. And most notably is Teresa Vasic. Teresa Vasic last competed at the Super Show, which is the Toronto Pro, which is about a month ago. And she took second. Even though there was only 4 women, she took second compared to how she did at the Indie Pro, where she won, and she was top 10 at the Olympia last year. From what I'm hearing from people here and there and what I see on social media, I think she might be stepping away from bodybuilding sometime soon. Maybe just me, from what I'm hearing, But I would say she should have jumped on this show. I know it's the cost of travel to go overseas, but if you want to guarantee yourself a shot at the Olympia, I would say take any kind of shot you can get, especially if you can afford it. And that's a big part if you can afford it. Here we have is Julia Ferry from Switzerland. As you know, Julia has been competing for a good bit. She made her pro debut back in 2021. Competed 2022. She did a couple of shows. She did the Portugal Pro, which took second, and she was in, I think, top 10 at the Atlanta show, and that was at the debut of the new Linda show. She's also going to compete at this year's Rising Phoenix. Big question is, I would say, why she do this show? This would be a great show to, test to see how you do. I mean, you're right there in Europe. I think Switzerland's a good way from Portugal, but if I was any competitor and this is the only few opportunities for you to qualify the Olympia, I would take a shot at it. We all know now we don't have point system. If you're not guaranteed to win, I think the mindset of a lot of competitors, they don't want to take an opportunity to just do a show and then, you don't have the points or you don't win the show, at least get your Olympic qualification. But Julie's been very impressive. I mean, maybe we might see her in either a show in the States, we know she's doing Rise of Phoenix, or also maybe do the World Championships, which is for still a show for this year's Olympia, or maybe do the Rise in Phoenix, which is for next year's. Not Rise of Phoenix, I mean, Remaining Muscle Fest, which is next year's. But we hope to see her. Next is her fellow Swiss, and that is one Miss Jay Fuchs. Big fan of Jay Fuchs. We saw her return after, I think, almost 4 years not competing at the Romanian Muscle Fest. She did as good as I'm hoping, not as best as she was in the past. I think she should have did at least one more show that year. She should have done the show in Spain, the Europa Championship, and maybe shake out some of the cobwebs, maybe get the critique, and maybe make the adjustments for this show in Romania. But like I said, it's the cost of traveling from one country to another, for a lot of these competitors. And I think, this would have been a great show to test to see how she does and maybe make adjustments compared to last year. Big fan of Jay Fuchs. I hope maybe she can get her qualification for this year's Olympia if she finds the right show. She might even try to do a show in the States. Next up, we have Lisa Cross. Lisa, she's also had competed for a good while, and she made her return last year, just like Jay. She made a return at the the Rising Phoenix World Bodybuilding Championship. I was kind of hoping a lot more for her, but we hadn't seen her compete for good a lot, and she looked pretty good. I follow social media. She says she's been putting on some size and been working on conditioning. I think she might do. I think she's also got invited to the Rise of Phoenix again, and maybe she make the adjustments. She might try to do another show like the Europa Championships or the Romanian Muscle Fest for next year's Olympia. I would say my best advice for her is maybe try to apply for next year's master show. I know a lot of ladies don't want to do the master shows, but hey, it's still Olympic qualification. It's still Olympia. Some other ladies I like to mention, but there's so many of them. But I know quite a few who live overseas that probably should have done this show. But, like I said, again, the cost of travel and everything else is, like I said, being a female bodybuilder is not a very lucrative job. But like I said, I wish all the best for the ladies in the future. Right here we have here's Anastasia Kobaleva. And, I'm a big fan of Anastasia. I think people like her because of her size. A lot of the guys like the big muscle chicks, like my man AJ over there. He often interviewed and talked with her in the past, and she competed at the Muscle Fest last year. She still makes adjustments. Like I said, I think she's still a young competitor. She she has the size, but she just got to come in conditioning. And she's very popular with the fans. Like I said, they like her bigger size, but if she can just maybe trim down a little bit, bring in a little bit better conditioning, she could possibly win a show. I think she was going to do the Portugal Pro last year, but she dropped out of that show, and then she just did the Romanian Muscle Fest. I think at one point, I think she did the Europa Championship a couple of years ago I think it was her pro debut. But I hope she tried to do that show. As you know, there's only a few qualifications for women's bodybuilding for the Olympia overseas, and maybe she tried to do the show in Europa or even try to do the Muscle Fest for next year's Olympia. But I think this has been a great show to see how she looks, maybe get a critique, and maybe she might make the adjustments for whichever show she'll do later on. Big fan of hers, too. So anyway, this is the list for women's physique. Like I said, not as many names compared to last year, but with the point systems gone, a lot of competitors don't want to just take a chance to do a show where they don't even have the points to qualify for Olympia or even they guaranteed a true win. So even with women's physique, the numbers are starting to drop off a little bit. So, and that's again the cost of traveling for a lot of competitors who don't live in Europe or even far from, very far from Portugal. It's just not worth it for the mindset of it. So anyway, here we have some ladies who competed at a show about a couple of weeks ago, and some ladies I think are making a debut here. First off, we have is Brigitte Arcesios. Sorry, Brigitte. I'm just going to miss Brigitte because I hate to mess up somebody's last name. So the thing is, a lot of these foreign names are very hard for me because I'm from the South. So when you try to even sound them out, it takes some time. So she competed at the Imperial Show, which was almost a couple of weeks ago. She took second to the lady who won and got a qualification to Olympia this year. She was very impressive. This is one I feel like, I don't know, she could have jumped over women's bodybuilding, and she might do pretty well. She might even have won, depending on how Arsenio and Anastasia come. But like I said, I think a lot of ladies they feel more comfortable in the divisions they're in, so let them have that. And next up we have is Anna. And I'm just going to go by her first name because I don't want to mess up her last name. She's from Italy. She also did a show, but I think she was there to get her pro card. She looks very impressive. I think she's still a young competitor. There's a good chance she might do well this show, possibly win or make top 3. But with the game with the point system gone, making second place is just getting some money. Next up we have is once Karina Serrera. She's from France, and this is, another sister from France. I was hoping Bob Marjan was at the show. It's great to see 2 lovely chocolate women from France competing with each other. Depending on how conditioning is, I don't know. This is one of these ladies that's up in the air. Next up we have is Carolina Fernandez. She's from Spain, and I believe she made a debut at the Imperial Show, which was about a couple of weeks ago. Impressive lady, good physique, good lines, It's all depending. I think that she has the qualities I think the judges want to see: good amount of muscle and good amount of femininity. Next up, we have her fellow countrywoman, one Miss Miranda Gonzalez, who also competed at the same show in Spain. Very impressive with the physique. Conditioning might need to work on. She might have made the adjustments after that show, which was, like I said, about almost 2 or 3 weeks ago. Next up, we have here is one Maral bin Jabbar. She is she lives in Germany, but I remember she's from someplace I believe originally from around the islands, I believe. But, she's a very popular competitor. She's been a pro since I think about 2019, 2020. She made a debut last year at the Romanian Muscle Fest. I think she was top 3 at that show. She looks very impressive. I follow on social media. Good amount of muscle density. She's also one that maybe, I don't know, maybe think about going up to women's bodybuilding. But I think she doesn't have enough size. Maybe you need time to grow. But I think physique works for her. Next up, we have here a lady who's making her debut, and that is Alexandria Carey. Not much more about her. She's from Great Britain, and I think she turned pro, I believe, last year. Next up, we have here is Marina Kosnopolio. She's from Cyprus, which is near Greek. So Miss Marina K. She competed at the Imperial Show. She looks a bit older. I think she might need to invest into doing master shows. There are not many to be master shows in Europe, but more opportunities here in the States. Next up, we have Unta Kola Spitzbart from Germany, and she also competed at the show in Spain. Impressive lady. I mean, like I said, she's been competing for a good while. I think this was her 3rd or 4th show since she turned pro, and impressive conditioning. I think there's a good chance that she might be a top 3, top 5 contender. Next up we have is Suna Nupan from Finland, and she's also competed at the Europa show. I mean, show in the Imperial show in Spain. All right, looking impressive. Like I said, she looks like she's much older, and you got to bring in good conditioning. This is also another one maybe we'll see in the future doing Masters Olympia. Next up, we got a lady whose name I'm not going to say because she's from China. And I don't want to mispronounce her. I'm just going to use the initial, Miss XQ. And I don't know much about her. I couldn't find too much information on her, but I know she's from China, so I hope she best luck. We have is one here, Justina Rudangnik. She's from Poland. And I think this might be her. This is maybe the second time her doing this show. I believe she done it last year. You see, you recognize this as the background for the last year's show. I don't know much about her. I think she turned pro around about 2021, and she made a pro debut in 2022. Have here is one Miss Alexandra Patricia de Silva, and I believe she also competed at the show at Imperial. You know, she looks. No, I'm sorry. This is the wrong one. This is Mar Rodriguez. I'm sorry. This is Mar Rodriguez, and she's from Spain. She also did a show in Paris. I'm gonna skip. And this is the lady I'm talking about, Alessandra Patricia de Salva from Italy, and I don't have any information on her. So I'm just gonna go through that one. And last but not least, we have is Caroline Alvarez dos Santos, and Caroline. She's moving for quite some time. You know, I think she got Olympic qualification in one show. I believe it was the 2021 Portugal Pro. But because the cost of traveling and I think either visa issues, she couldn't do the show in Olympia in 2021. She missed out. And also she's doing the master show in August. And she's an impressive woman to follow on social media. I remember she did that thing where she was out in the in traffic, it was a new show in Brazil where she was like trying to get donations to be able to do a show. She was in her posing suit. Good muscle density. I think she's more appealing. If she can make the adjustments, she possibly could win the show. I know a couple of shows she'd be top two, but like I said again, with the points qualification gone, it's gonna be a lot tough for some competitors to qualify for the Olympia. She might qualify Olympia at the Master Show, depending on how the other competitors come in. There's a good list of ladies for the Master Show. So anyway, the show is gonna be tomorrow. I believe the time is gonna be probably 8 or 9, Portugal time, which is going to be, I think it's a 6 hours difference, maybe 2 o'clock our time, 2 or 3 o'clock our time. I mean, the time zones is crazy. That's why sometimes when you interview these late time zones, I always want to get it right. But this show is a Olympic qualification. And I wish more women in bodybuilding had jumped on the show. But like I said, again, the cost of traveling is a lot expensive for these ladies. And it's tough to, afford to go from one country to another. And also, so many women overseas don't want to do women's bodybuilding. They feel like, they lose their femininity when they go up. But the fact is, when you develop and grow as an athlete, you have to make adjustments and go up. It's a tough decision to make. But I respect those women who do decide, what, I want to move to the next level of my career. Sometimes you just can't pigeonhole yourself in one division when you're outgrowing that division. But there's great opportunities in women's bodybuilding. Even though, women's bodybuilding don't get much respect and recognition as some of the other divisions, it's still a great division. It's one of the oldest divisions in bodybuilding. And I would say in the future for a lot of these competitors who compete in physique, always do this. Learn the mandatory poses in women's bodybuilding. So just in case you do a show and it's like umpteen women in it, and you say, you know what, I might have a condition, I might do well in women's bodybuilding, go ahead and do it. I understand that it's about, what you feel that works for you. I understand that. But also as an athlete, you need to grow and develop. So anyway, the show is going to be tomorrow. Check it out, the live stream. I think the prices are different because, they go by euros compared to American. I think I can put the link in the description. You can click and see how much it costs to stream and check it out. Try to support Women's Bodybuilding. I know it'd be great for us to go there, but it costs too much. But I hope next year they do have women's bodybuilding because, we had 4 women last year, 3 years this year. And this is always about the money thing. But I hope next year that they still have women's bodybuilding at Portugal Pro. I'd like to see more women in the future, do this show, maybe get opportunity for Olympic qualification. Anyway, this is me on the George Page, a.k.a. the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like, don't subscribe. I'm out.